Sergeant Alex Carter had seen his fair share of battles. Born and raised on Earth, he had grown up in a world where war was a constant. Earth had been in a bitter war with a race of aliens known as the Zelnari for years. It wasn't the first time humans had been caught up in such a conflict, but this time, it felt different. The stakes were higher, and the enemy was unlike anything humanity had ever faced. The war had already claimed countless lives. On Earth, civilians lived in constant fear of airstrikes and alien incursions. On the front lines, soldiers fought in trenches, not just for survival, but for hope. Hope that humanity could win this war and preserve the legacy of their home. Alex had been one of the soldiers who fought tirelessly, holding the line in the face of overwhelming odds. But in recent months, something had shifted. The war wasn't going well. The Zelnari had a technological advantage that humanity could not overcome. They were a race of beings who had mastered advanced weaponry and tactics, far beyond anything humanity had ever dreamed of. Their warships were massive, capable of wiping out entire cities in seconds. Their soldiers were powerful, driven by a cruel, relentless purpose. And worst of all, they didn't seem to fear death. One night, after a long and brutal day on the battlefield, Alex was called into his commanding officer's office. He had no idea what to expect. As a seasoned soldier, he had become used to receiving orders in moments of quiet reflection. But this time, something felt different. He entered the dimly lit room, and there stood General Allen, his commanding officer. The general looked unusually serious, his brow furrowed as if he were carrying the weight of the world on his shoulders.
"Sergeant Carter," the general said, motioning for him to sit. "We need you for a very special mission. It's unlike anything you've ever faced before."
Alex sat down, his curiosity piqued.
"What's going on, sir? You've been selected for a top-secret operation."
"I can't tell you all the details yet, but it's a matter of the utmost importance. You're going to board a captured Zelnari warship." Alex blinked in surprise. A captured warship? That sounded almost impossible. The Zelnari didn't just let their ships get captured. They would rather destroy their vessels than let them fall into enemy hands. Yet here was General Allen, calmly discussing this like it was an everyday task. "You'll be part of a team that will infiltrate the warship, study its systems, and learn everything we can about it. It's the only chance we have to turn the tide of the war."
Alex leaned forward, intrigued but skeptical. "How can we possibly board a warship that's still active? The Zelnari don't just let their ships get captured."
The general gave a small, grim smile. "This one is different. We have it under our control for now. But it's unstable. The Zelnari will come for it, and when they do, we need to be ready."
Alex paused, absorbing the information. It felt like a mission straight out of a science fiction novel, something that couldn't possibly be real.
Yet the look in the general's eyes told him this was no fantasy. The fate of humanity rested on this operation. "When do I leave?" Alex asked. "Immediately," the general replied. "You'll be briefed on the specifics once you board the ship. Time is of the essence."
"The Zelnari won't give us long."
Without hesitation, Alex stood. There was no time for second-guessing. His orders were clear. He was part of this mission now, and he would see it through to the end, no matter what it took. The ride to the warship felt like an eternity. Alex sat in the transport shuttle with a handful of other soldiers, all silently contemplating the task ahead. The Zelnari warship loomed ahead, a dark, imposing mass in the sky. It was a vessel unlike any Alex had ever seen before. Its surface seemed to shimmer with strange organic patterns, almost as if the ship were alive. It wasn't just a machine. It was a living entity, and it made Alex feel uneasy. The shuttle docked with the warship's massive hull, and the soldiers disembarked. As they stepped onto the alien vessel, they were immediately struck by the sheer scale of it. The corridors were vast, with strange symbols and patterns etched into the walls. It was as if the ship had been grown, not built. Every surface seemed alive, pulsing with an energy that felt alien in every sense of the word. "Stay alert," Alex whispered to his team. "We don't know what we're dealing with here." They moved cautiously down the dark hallways, the only sound being the hum of the ship's systems. It was eerily quiet. As they progressed deeper into the heart of the ship, Alex could feel a growing sense of unease. There was something about the ship that felt wrong. It wasn't just the unfamiliar technology or the alien design. It was the feeling that the ship itself was watching them, waiting for them to make a mistake. The mission briefing had mentioned that the ship was partially under control, but Alex couldn't shake the feeling that they were being lured into a trap. It was almost as if the ship had a mind of its own, one that was just waiting for the right moment to strike. As they moved deeper, they encountered strange biomechanical devices, machines that seemed to be both organic and mechanical at the same time. Some of them were dormant, while others pulsed with life. Alex had no idea what any of them did, but he had a feeling they weren't friendly. He kept his weapon ready, just in case.
Keep moving, he ordered. We need to get to the command center and get those systems under control.
They finally reached the central hub, a massive chamber filled with alien technology.
At the center of the room stood a strange console, pulsating with a soft blue light. Alex approached it cautiously, his fingers brushing the surface.
The console seemed to respond to his touch, its lights flickering and shifting.
Is it working?
One of the soldiers asked.
Ooh.
I don't know, Alex replied. We need to find out.
Suddenly, the ship's alarms blared, and the walls around them began to shift.
The once dormant alien devices sprang to life, and the hum of the ship grew louder, more aggressive. It felt as though the entire ship was awakening from a deep slumber.
Alex's heart raced as he realized that the Zelnari had found them. They had known this moment would come, and now it was here.
Get to the shuttle bay, Alex shouted. We need to get out of here now. But as they turned to leave, the corridors around them began to warp and shift, as if the ship itself was reconfiguring to trap them. The walls closed in, and Alex felt a wave of panic. The ship wasn't just under attack, it was fighting back. In that moment, Alex realized that this was no ordinary warship. This was something far more dangerous. The Zelnari had never made anything like this before. The warship was more than just a ship. It was a weapon, and it was alive. With no time to waste, Alex and his team fought their way back to the shuttle bay, where they faced the overwhelming force of the Zelnari soldiers. But Alex wasn't ready to give up. He knew that if they didn't find a way to gain control of the ship, humanity would lose this war. As the battle raged on, Alex couldn't help but wonder if this mission would be his last. He had been a soldier his entire life, but now, in the heart of an alien warship, everything was different. He was no longer just fighting for survival. He was fighting for humanity's future. And he would do whatever it took to win. The alarms on the alien warship blared louder as the metallic doors slammed shut behind Alex and his team. The sound was deafening, echoing down the vast, curved hallways. Panic crept into Alex's mind, but he pushed it aside. There was no time for fear. Not now. Not when they were on the edge of disaster. Alex had fought in many battles, but nothing compared to this. The alien warship felt alive, as though it was reacting to every move they made. The floor beneath them hummed with a strange, almost rhythmic vibration. The walls shifted, groaned, and creaked as if the ship itself was trying to trap them. The Zelnari had found them faster than Alex had anticipated, and the battle was about to begin.
Stay close, Alex shouted over the din of the alarms. We need to move fast.
His team, a mix of soldiers and engineers, followed his lead, their boots echoing in the narrow, twisting corridors. The only light came from the eerie glow of the alien technology, casting long shadows along the walls. The ship's design was alien. Curved walls that seemed to pulse with a life of their own. Corridors that twisted in impossible angles. It was hard to tell if they were running toward safety or deeper into danger. The last thing Alex had expected when boarding the warship was to be thrust into an active battlefield. They had come to study the alien technology, to understand its inner workings. But now, it seemed the warship itself had become their enemy. The Zelnari were relentless. and their technology was even more terrifying than they had imagined. Alex had seen war before, but this was something different, something far more dangerous.
Where are they?
One of the soldiers asked, his voice shaky as he scanned the darkened halls for any signs of the Selnari.
Don't wait for them to find us, Alex replied, gripping his weapon tighter.
We're going to make the first move. He knew it was a risk. They didn't have much of a chance against the Selnari, especially on their own ship. The Selnari soldiers were tough, highly trained, and well-equipped, but they had the advantage of surprise, and Alex intended to use that advantage. They would fight their way out or die trying. As they moved deeper into the warship, Alex felt the walls shift again, this time more violently. The ship was responding to their presence, as if it was aware of them. The temperature dropped suddenly, and a faint hiss echoed through the corridors. Something was changing. The team came to a halt in front of a large, reinforced door. Alex didn't hesitate. He motioned for the engineer to get to work. They had to find a way into the ship's control center. If they could take control of the ship's systems, they might have a fighting chance. But as the engineer worked quickly to hack into the door's control panel, Alex's mind raced.
Where's the backup?
One of the soldiers asked, nervously glancing around.
Backup won't make it in time,
Alex replied. We're on our own, the engineer cursed under his breath as he struggled with the alien panel. It's different from anything I've ever seen.
It's not just a computer system. It's like the ship is alive. Alex had suspected as much.
The warship wasn't just a machine. It was part of the Selnari's strategy, a living, breathing weapon. The idea of controlling it felt almost impossible, but they had no other choice. Keep working, Alex ordered. We don't have much time. Just then, the door slid open with a soft hiss. The team quickly filed inside, weapons raised. The room beyond was massive, filled with rows of strange alien consoles and equipment. The air smelled strange, a mixture of metal and something organic. It felt like they had stepped into the heart of the ship itself. Alex glanced around the room, taking in the alien technology. There were screens displaying unknown symbols, panels filled with buttons and switches, and strange devices humming with energy. But the most striking thing was the central console, which sat at the far end of the room. It was enormous, surrounded by what looked like control panels linked to the ship's systems. We need to get to that, Alex said, pointing to the central console. It's our only chance. But before they could move, the lights flickered and went out. A low, rumbling sound echoed through the walls, and the temperature dropped even further. The ship seemed to be reacting to the intrusion, fighting back against them. Not good, one of the soldiers muttered.
We're sitting ducks in here. Stay focused, Alex snapped. We move now.
We don't wait for them to come to us. They moved toward the central console, but as they approached, the ship's defenses activated. Suddenly, walls shot up from the floor, blocking their path. The team opened fire, but their weapons had little effect on the alien structure. It was as if the ship had anticipated their every move. Get to cover! Alex shouted as the walls began to close in. The team dove behind the nearest consoles, the sound of alien gunfire filling the room.
The Selnari had arrived. They had breached the ship and were now engaged in a brutal firefight with Alex and his team.
Alex peeked out from behind the console, scanning the room for any sign of the enemy. The Selnari soldiers moved quickly, their advanced weapons cutting through the air with deadly precision. They were coming from every direction, surrounding the team. This isn't good, one of the soldiers said, his voice shaking. There's too many of them. We fight, Alex said, his voice calm despite the chaos. We don't give them an inch. With a burst of energy, Alex stood and opened fire. His weapon cracked through the air, striking down one of the Selnari soldiers. But there were more. So many more. They kept coming, their weapons flashing with deadly force. The team fought back with everything they had. The alien technology seemed to be working against them, as the warship itself seemed to fight back. Every move they made was anticipated by the ship's systems. Every corner they tried to take was blocked by shifting walls and closing doors. The ship was alive, and it was as if it was protecting the Zelnari invaders. Alex had never fought a battle like this. There was no clear front, no trenches to hold, no place to retreat. The warship was a maze of corridors and rooms that twisted and shifted around them, making it impossible to predict the enemy's next move. But Alex didn't give up. He kept moving, kept fighting, knowing that the fate of humanity rested on this battle. He couldn't afford to lose. As the battle raged on, Alex found himself face to face with one of the Zelnari commanders. The creature stood tall, its glowing red eyes burning with hatred. It was faster than any human soldier, and its weapon was unlike anything Alex had ever seen. It moved with precision, striking with brutal efficiency. Alex raised his weapon, aiming at the commander, but the Zelnari was too quick. It leapt forward, knocking the weapon from Alex's hands and slamming him into the ground. Alex struggled to breathe as the creature's grip tightened around his throat.
"You are weak," the Zelnari hissed, its voice cold and menacing.
You cannot win. With every ounce of strength, Alex managed to twist his body, grabbing a nearby alien blade and plunging it into the creature's side. The Zelnari screeched, releasing its grip on Alex as it staggered back. With a final desperate push, Alex drove the blade deeper into the creature's chest, and it collapsed. Breathing heavily, Alex stood over the fallen enemy, his hands covered in the creature's blood. He knew this was just the beginning. The battle wasn't over, and the warship was still very much in enemy hands. "Move!" Alex shouted to his team. "We're not done yet!" The Zelnari were down, but Alex knew that more were coming, and they needed to take control of the warship before it was too late.